In this Battletech vlog, we're going to explore the idea of variant mechs. From the perspective of new players, you've been playing some different mechs, working on some tactics, and as you look through and explore the technical manuals, you see various designations of variant mechs, different weapon profiles, different loadouts, and you're wondering, why would I take one of these compared to the primary? And second to that, if you've been playing Battletech for a little while, or you're a veteran player, sometimes switching up some variants and changing that within a lance offers some very interesting and different synergies. So now that we have that framework, let's jump in and explore this idea of variants. In the narrative, you have a mech profile. It was created for a specific reason. That could be for recon, that could be for heavy assault, it could be a specific role, like anti-air or long-ranged, or it could be something like, we just need to sell a lot of mechs, so let's just make it really cheap. Who cares if it even works? The Star League is just going to buy these in the thousands. They want to fill out those numbers. And based on that narrative, it comes up with a weapon profile. Now, what you see with the variants, what that means for the most part is swapping out the weapon systems for different weapons. You can also swap out the engine or perhaps some of the tech. What we see in Battletech is you can create your own mech. There are no hard, fast rules that you have to play a mech a specific way. It has to adhere to the tonnage, to the tech level. It'll increase or decrease the battle value. But that's what's really interesting about Battletech. There's a lot of different variants. What we see in terms of the weapon profile, it depends. It could be this mech was created for a specific role, but then throughout the fall of the Star League and the loss of certain tech, weapon systems gets downgraded. A perfect example would be the Archer. The primary Archer has 2 long-range missile 20 packs. But what you see on some older Archers or Archers that are out of service, the 20 packs are downgraded to unguided missiles, rocket packs. You can pack in a lot more, but they don't have the tech level or the guidance, so they don't do as much damage. You only get one shot for the unguided rockets, and the range is shorter. But this brings down the battle value. So what you'll see in that narrative is sometimes it's a case of the tech. It could be something like in a campaign. You're playing a Marauder, you take a lot of damage, you've got some salvage, you need to make some repairs. The PPCs and the arms got blown up, you replace them with large lasers. The autocannon gets knocked off, you replace it with a different type of weapon system. So you'll see for different reasons, mechs might be upgraded or downgraded. The second to this is where you see some of these variants where the mech itself, based on the armor and speed, is well suited to a specific role. But by tweaking some of the weapon systems, it opens up an entirely new role. An example from my own collection is the Locust. This is primarily a scout-based mech. You've got that medium laser, you've got the machine guns, you've got great speed, but you really don't have much armor. The medium laser is more for shots of opportunity as you're running around doing recon, or in the lances that I play, working as a spotter. And that Locust has existed. The Tactica is out there, pushed up to the Battletech playlist here. But I primarily play the variant that replaces the machine guns with 2 short-range missile packs. And the reason why I do this, just to kind of sidebar into that Tactica as a framework showing where a variant, it's the same mech, it's the same profile, but the variant changes the role of it tremendously, is with that medium laser stock and those 2 machine guns, I'm really only engaging with the medium laser. Now you say, well, those machine guns mean you can get close. They're not going to do a ton of damage. If I'm that close to another mech, that's a very dangerous place to be because they're going to be at point-blank range to fire back. They could work anti-infantry, but if you've had a chance to fight in city fight, if I have a Locust, I don't want to be zapping anybody with machine guns, infantry, because there's going to be multiple infantry stands in buildings in different places. The spread of the weapons, they're just absolutely going to light me up. So that kind of means that Locust is a scout. I use it for indirect spotting, for indirect fire. It'll be recon, maybe discover some hidden units. It's really just a medium laser on legs. If I was going to be more aggressive, I could take that battle value and put it into something else. But by taking this variant, now what I have is a locust that packs some significant punch, especially if I can get it into a position where, based on initiative, we talked about initiative, the importance in Battletech, understanding initiative. Push that up to the Battletech playlist. As a new player, you want to understand not just how initiative works, but the role in terms of mech placement. If I can get that locust behind you, behind a light or a medium mech, and I fire off that medium laser, and I fire off those 2 short-range missile 2-packs, that spread has a greater chance to damage and possibly punch through rear center torso, rear left, or rear right armor. That's got some bite for very, very low battle value buy-in. For that battle value buy-in, I usually run 3 or 4 locusts. We'll kind of swarm you, the locust swarm. Now, part of that is I'm doing that for the lulls. There could be, and there are better ways to get that back armor. Efficiently, in terms of battle value, I'd probably say hovers. But what we see here, pushing the lulls aside, that variant radically changes a mech to be more aggressive while still holding on to that recon role. I can still zip around and recon. You also see where sometimes weapons will become downgraded inner sphere variants to make the mech itself more effective. We see this with some mechs that will drop a type of weapon to a lower type of weapon, and in doing that, gain more heat sinks. So you might have a mech that fires a mix of lasers and autocannons, generates tremendous heat to the point where you can't reliably fire everything all the time, or you can't fire both classes of weapons. So a variant might be to fix that design flaw in the tech manuals. They dropped those lasers, brought in more autocannons. Now you can clear the heat. So this idea of variance is partially narrative driven, but also sometimes to create deficiencies in mechs or take them into a completely different matrix or a completely different role. To end that out, as a final example, is the Charger. It's one of my favorite mechs for the lulls. It's a very, very fast, low battle value assault mech. Very fast, low battle value, lots and lots of armor. You zip that thing around for recon, for spotting, for doing all this, and it can take hits. It like shrugs off. It eats PPCs like they're nothing. The battle value is so low. But for an assault mech, it just has a bunch of pop small lasers. It's not designed to fight anything. And in the tech narrative, the design was, hey, this heavy recon mech that can survive long times behind enemy lines, low maintenance, and weapons are not the profile. Now, okay, a mech is better than nothing. Why not do that with a hovercraft? Put that aside. But what we see is one of the primary variants of the Charger mech is to take it and transform it from a recon-based assault mech to a proper assault mech. It gives it an autocannon 20. It gives it some lasers. It gives it some tremendous bite. So that variant is saying, look, the design of this to be an assault recon mech, it's better off being a regular assault mech. It changes it. So you see that sometimes in the lore and sometimes in the narrative of the game. But in terms of Battletech, the actual tabletop hex map, you can play any of the mechs. You can play any of the variants. You can take a mech that's your favorite mech and make it your own personal variant. As long as you have the tonnage slots and as long as it adheres to the mech creation rules, everything is open. So what I'd like to challenge you now is look at the lances that you have. Look at your Battletech collection, whatever it's at, the mechs that you like to play for whatever reason, reviewing the Tactica there on the Battletech playlist, but look at some of those variants. See if it changes the mech. See if it can break out of that play style. See if it can take your favorite mech and give you some new but different tactical options.